Podcast with James D. Jackson.
Hello and welcome again to the Rip Jersey Podcast. I'm your host, James D. Jackson. And man, we had another great night of sports. Dak is back for the Cowboys and the World Series is finally set. Top two teams going into the finals. Let's see where we go from here. But enough of that. Let's get right into the show.
All right, let's go. Here's the first story of the day.
I think the general consensus around the NFL is the top two AFC teams are the top two teams throughout the entirety of the NFL, because you got the Bills and the Chiefs with two great quarterbacks, Josh Allen for the Bills and Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs, running those offenses. And you got average to great defenses on the other side for those teams, which has pretty much propelled them to the top two teams in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs had a great win against the 49ers this week. We'll get into that later. The Bills had their off week, so we didn't get to see them on the field this time around, but that's still the consensus around the NFL. Philadelphia, the Eagles, you could say they're probably number three in the NFL and number one in the NFC because of what they've done with the run-pass option and Jalen Hurts playing as well as he has, but also a great defense behind that system. Now, in the top four, I think, as I've just listed the top three teams, I think the Dallas Cowboys are the fourth best team in the NFL as of right now because of the defense that they have, which seems to always be the key for top teams. Defense wins championships. You know, offense sells tickets. It's what has always been said. The defense wins the championship. If your offense is just competent, if your offense is just able to move the ball down the field with that type of defense, it usually pays off well for teams, you know, like the Broncos had back when Peyton Manning was there. Peyton Manning was well past his prime. He wasn't all worldly anymore. He was just a game manager type of quarterback. That's all you really need in the NFL at this point of the year. However, to get over those top two teams that I've talked about with great offenses and great quarterbacks, it's going to take a lot from a defense. Now, as I've said, the Cowboys are the fourth best. I think the two New York teams, the Giants and the Jets, and Minnesota Vikings have a case for being the top four. But as of right now, I think it's the Cowboys because of their defense. Now, the first story of the day is in Dak's return, the Dallas Cowboys took down the Detroit Lions 24-6. Dak came back from a fractured thumb. He's been suffering. Obviously, Cooper Rush has been in for him. But Dak Prescott, in his return game, went 19 of 25 for 207 yards and one touchdown to lead the Cowboys to a championship. Now, this 24-6 game was probably one of the closest 24-6 games I've seen in quite some time. This score was not this lopsided until the last quarter, pretty much, in that game. Now, we knew the offense would struggle. We knew the offense would struggle with Dak coming back because it's just so hard to get back in routine after missing so many games. He's missed 5 or 6 games of the seasons already with that fractured thumb, so he hasn't got a lot of playing time this year. He hasn't got time to be with the offense with those receivers. I know they got some reps in practice, but game speed, game offense is a lot different than in practice throwing to them. And the fractured thumb was on his throwing hand, so getting that back together, he said he didn't feel it. It didn't bother him too much throughout this game, so that's good for them. But they didn't score a touchdown until the third quarter of this game. Now, as we've seen with Cooper Rush, with this offense, it doesn't take much for the Dallas Cowboys to win games because they have such a great defense. You can be a game manager and win these games. The reason you need Dak, the reason you need him back, is because you can't beat those top three teams, as I've mentioned, Philly, the Bills, and the Chiefs, with just a game manager of a quarterback. Because all three of those teams have great quarterbacks at this point in the season, and they're going to have the great quarterbacks come the playoffs. Dak gives you that option. Dak gives you that option to have a quarterback that can be a difference maker. Now that he's back on the field, because the Cowboys can now do run pass option as well as Philly did last week against them to really dominate that defense that's been so good all season. With Dak back, the RPO comes back, and you can run more of that, and you have more options on the field for how you attack an opposing team's defense. Dallas runs the ball well already with Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. Elliott got a couple touchdowns for him in this game, a couple 1-yarders, and he was back to hurdling people. So if he's back to that type of aggression and that type of skill set, they're going to be really, really good running the ball. But if you have that run-pass option back, because you got a great receiver in CeeDee Lamb out there that catches passes, you have weapons on this team to prove that you can be a run-pass option team that can give defenses trouble and come the playoffs. Now, we talked about their defense. They got 5 turnovers against the Lions this week. 5 turnovers. You talk about a defense that's really, really good. 5. Trayvon Diggs got another interception. I know a lot of people kind of are off and on Trayvon Diggs because of how many yards he gives up as a cornerback, but this year he's been on point. And again, he's able to turn the ball over with interceptions. They got 3 fumbles and 2 interceptions in this game, and it just shows how well this defense is set up, because with all of this, I think they're the top 14. They also have a great special teams guy in Kevontae Turpin, who is, I guess he's the fastest guy in the NFL right now. They can't stop this guy whenever he gets the ball on special teams. It always comes down to one tackle that saves a touchdown for that guy. He's done so well this season, and now he's back doing great things for the Dallas Cowboys. But it's just so hard to find quality quarterbacks who aren't just game managers in this NFL. There aren't many outstanding quarterbacks this season. As you noticed around the way, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, those guys haven't had the greatest of seasons so far. And so you got these teams that don't have the best quarterback play, the Giants, the Jets, and Minnesota, who are having great seasons. So if there's any time to just have talent and just be a little bit more than just a game manager to get you wins, this is the year to do it. And the Cowboys have that. Let's get into some scores.
Here's the second story of the day.
The second story of the day is a react to some scores across the NFL. Let's get right into it.
Number 5,
the Panthers beat the Buccaneers 21-3. It's one of those, another shocking loss for the Buccaneers. There should have been a bounce back game for them, playing the Panthers, who have only won one game in the last 13 games. So you think you get back on that with Tom Brady, the GOAT, as your quarterback. That didn't happen. PJ Walker for the Panthers, who's their third string quarterback, completed 16 of 22 passes for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brady and the Bucs are now 3-4 this season. This is the worst start for a Brady team since 2002, when the Patriots got off to a bad start as well. Brady has never been under 500 after 8 games. So next week is going to be big for the Buccaneers in terms of Brady's overall stature as a quarterback and his record.
Number 4,
the Washington Commanders beat the Green Bay Packers 23-21. Tanner Heineke completed 20 of 33 passes for 201 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the third loss in a row for the Packers. As we talked about Brady, Aaron Rodgers and their team and the Green Bay Packers have also had struggles this year. And that's just so weird, because the Packers have been so good for so many years. I mean, the last 20 years, you could say that they've been a team that you had to pay attention to. Now that they're having a bad season, it just feels weird. It's not right. Both teams are 3-4, the Washington Commanders and the Green Bay Packers, as of right now.
Number 3,
the Giants took down the Jaguars 23-17. Came down to the final play of that game. I watched the final play, and it just came down to a blade of grass. It was like 1 yard where the Giants were able to hold off the Jaguars, who had driven all the way down the field in like a minute and 10 seconds or so to try to win that game in the final moment. And it's just that 1 yard tackle, just like the Super Bowl back when the Titans got stopped by the Rams. It was like that close for them to get that win. Daniel Jones of the Giants threw and ran for a touchdown in the win. The Giants are now 6-1. Who would have thought that before the season?
Number 2,
the Ravens get back on track as they take down the Browns 23-20. The Ravens have blown a lead in the second half of each of their 3 losses, so this was good that they were able to hold off the Browns late in this game to win it. They are now 4-3 this season. Gus Edwards returns, and he rushed for 16 times for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. Can't say that 3 times fast.
Number 1,
the Chiefs steamrolled the past the 49ers 44-23 on the road, and I thought this would be a better matchup. I thought it'd be a better game. I Obviously, the 49ers have dealt with a lot of injuries this season, but with the addition of Christian McCaffrey, the running back from Carolina they just traded for, and they also got back their leading pass rusher, Nick Bosa, to line up for that defense. I thought they put up more of a fight, and it looked like that at the beginning of the game because they actually had an early lead, but they were just not able to hold on to it. And because of Patrick Mahomes and that offense, they're that high powered, even without Tyreek Hill on this team anymore. They're that impactful. And Patrick Mahomes finished 25 of 34 for 423 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had 1 interception, which the 49ers were able to capitalize on. But just the rest of the game, they couldn't keep that lead. And throughout that game, Christian McCaffrey looked good for them though. He did good running and catching. He had 8 carries for 48 yards. He had 2 catches for 24 yards. So overall, it was a good game for him. Didn't get into the end zone just yet, but it's probably a guy that doesn't even know most of the playbook yet. He just got there a couple days ago. So now that he's getting in, it's good enough that he did that for them. We'll see where that gets to. The 49ers believe they're a Super Bowl ready team, which is why they traded for McCaffrey, giving up all their picks from this season and from next. So they're getting there.
Here's the third story of the day.
The third story of the day is the World Series is finally set up. We're finally here. The Phillies and the Astros advanced to the World Series. The Astros swept the Yankees. It may be a surprise to some. It wasn't surprising to me, as I said in my last baseball video and podcast. The Yankees just can't be the Astros. And now it's at a point to where you got to think, are the Yankees cursed or something? Because now they've lost 5 consecutive championship series. That's the first team that's done that in baseball, which is that's a long time. That's a long time of baseball history for that just now to happen. You can't win the World Series just hitting home runs. It just doesn't work at this time of the year because pitchers are so much better at this time of the year where you got to be able to put hits and put hits together and square them away, and they just don't have that at this point. The Phillies and Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto were just too much for San Diego as they win their series. San Diego got 1 of that series. Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto, as I said, just guys that have always been dangerous hitters in the MLB, and they continue to show why. Bryce Harper had one of those great hits, and it was a swing of his life, is what the radio announcer called it. That was awesome moment. He said he was him, and we're going to let him stand with that for right now. That was just a great swing from him. And the Phillies are back. Phillies are back, man. First time since 2009 since they've been in the World Series. Let's see what they can do with it. But the series starts Friday in that World Series. Let's see who you got.
Who you got?
Let me know in the comments who you got for that series. Who you think is going to win that one? Personally, I'm thinking the Astros as of right now. They just look like too much of a dominant team for anybody to stop them. The Mariners got a couple games on them, and the Yankees couldn't get any on them. Even with Jose Altuve not having the greatest of series, they still were able to do it with Alex Bregman and Carlos Pena and those guys. They're just, man, they were just relentless, and they have such a good pitching staff that I think they're the championship team as of right now. But we'll see. The Phillies have shocked a lot of people this season. They could do it again. So, hey, but that's all I have for you today. This has been the Rip Jersey Podcast, and I have been the host, and we appreciate you for sticking around with us. Thanks for watching this video. If you made it this far, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, I have a podcast called Rip Jersey. Follow that, add it to your playlist. Listen to it wherever you can. Thanks for watching again.